This is for the woman who is defining herself in real time. The woman who asks herself the questions that no one else will. I'm your host, Queen, and this is Vital Information. Welcome back, you guys. Today, I want to ask a question to our audience, and this is a question that I've often asked myself, which is, who am I? And identity is such a huge topic as we're in the middle of trying to figure out who we want to become and also working at that and then becoming better. I am someone who will constantly ask myself, who am I? And when people ask me, who are you? I feel like that answer has changed so often throughout the years. And right now I'm 28 years old and I feel like I've been going through this like midlife, quarter life crisis. I guess a quarter life, because midlife would be like 50 years old, which is pretty frustrating. Asking myself this question now, and I've been asking myself this question for years, but asking myself this question now comes with more than just the answer, but the embodiment and the self-actualization of what my goals truly are. And over the past couple years, I would say since I turned 25, I've tried to define myself and redefine myself so many different times and in so many different ways because of the way that I view myself. Even now, looking back at a lot of my journal entries, I can see how I used logic to define a lot of the characteristics about myself and the goals that I had for myself. For example, when I was 25 years old, I wrote an entire list of things that I am. And it was like, I am Queen Maisha Refined Ward. I am a healer. I am a woman. I am, and it was a list of things which are very near and dear to my heart and things that I do define myself as internally. And the more that I started to flip through these pages of who I was and who I wanted to be, they were very stressful and almost strict goals for myself. And I started to notice like, okay, Queen, are you a project or are you a person? Because I was working on myself in this very managerial type of way. This is what you need to do every single day. At this time, you need to get up and you need to do this. And at night, you need to do that. So that I could almost adhere to that list of I ams that I've written for myself. Over the years, I kept writing and adding and revising that list. And all these strict timeframes and these strict tasks that I set for myself never got completed. And I would feel shameful. I would feel untrustworthy in my own mind and in my own thoughts about myself because I used to feel like, well, if I'm not able to set these goals for myself, then I must not be disciplined. I must not be a intelligent woman. And I'd created this outline of myself as someone who is less of a member of my community and more so of a participant in an idea that I had for myself. And again, none of those things played out in the way that I thought they would, and definitely not within the time frames that I had set for myself. One of those things that I said was, I am a truth seeker. I am a healer. I am a thorough woman. And over time, I started to realize that the way that I was thinking of myself was so far ahead of where I actually was in the moment. And when I started to think about who I was becoming, I started to compare the things that I had written down to my everyday life. And my everyday life was like stressful. I was Pilates instructor, but I wasn't making that much money. I was a valuable member in the community, but I didn't feel like I was successful. I didn't know where my career was heading because I knew being just a Pilates instructor wasn't enough. So I didn't feel as successful as people maybe thought. I'm like, well, Queen, if you're such a healer, if you're such a truth seeker, like, let's see the other people that you've invested time in. Let's see testimonials from other people whose lives you've transformed. If you're such a truth seeker, then why don't you say that you're a failure? And for a long time, I didn't identify with the things that I wanted to identify with because I was looking at my life as a project. I was looking at my life as something that I needed to be able to mark milestones, and I needed to be able to see the result of my work. And if I wasn't, then I wasn't successful. And even now, it's such a roundabout way of thinking of a human being. And it just leads me to the question of, what does success look like? My whole goal, my deepest desire is to be of service to other people. Yet I was shutting other people out because I felt like connections were distracting. They would distract me from my project, the project that is my life. Going out with friends was procrastination because I could be working on my life. I could be participating in, these tasks that I want to engage in so that I can become this person that I keep telling myself that I am. And little did I know, I was in direct opposition of what I truly wanted. Because if I wanted community, if I wanted people to understand me, and I wanted to get to know other people better, then I had to sit with other people. I had to hold space for their thoughts and their feelings and their experiences. I had to acknowledge that that is something that I wanted. I had to invest more in relationships. And instead of looking at my life as something that needed to be done, I started to notice that there were things that I needed to be present in. And the more I clarified what that was, the easier it was for me to define these tasks that I have for my life and also execute them. When I think about what truly sparked my desire for change, I think about being in high school and my mom having back surgery. And my mom was my sole caretaker. She took care of me and my brother. And around this time, I had to take care of my mom. She was not able to go to work for an extended period of time. She was taking medication. She was, just in and out of sleep. It was hard for her to get up and cook. It was difficult for her to do simple tasks for herself. And for a while, I had to raise myself in that manner. I had to acknowledge that she would not do those things because she couldn't and she was unable to. And the selfish part of me wanted to escape that feeling. I didn't know how to take care of another person. I didn't understand that my life was secondary to her wellness at this time. I didn't understand how to balance those things in my life and go to school and have friends and still take care of my home and my mom and my family. And so at this time, I'm cooking dinner. I'm making sure that I get home on time. I have to make sure that my mom gets her medication and that I'm there to give it to her at a specific time. And I wanted to get to a point where that wasn't my everyday. When it comes to empathy and caring about someone that you love, you will always make those sacrifices. But when you're too immature to understand that everything isn't about you and everything isn't about just your life, you try to figure out how you're going to get back to yourself. And I feel like over time, I started to treat myself in that way and say, okay, well, later on, Queen, you'll be able to do these things and you will be able to become this person, just not right now. When I was 25 or just a couple years ago, I was trying to over-prepare for the future. I was trying to understand that if I create this visual of who I will be in the next 5 years, then I potentially can get ahead of the things that may destroy it. And I'm going to be honest, that doesn't work. At this point in my life, I just want to be well. And focusing solely on my purpose can be very depleting. And it causes so much stress in my life. And it causes me to fall back into that cycle of shame and guilt and not doing enough and not being there enough and not doing as much as I could to feel successful. In 2 years, I'll be 30. And someone who has gone through what I've gone through and learned the things that I have learned and has been able to be a part of change, not just within my own life, but within other people's lives, will become someone who is in love with the process and not through the lens of outlining a project, but through the process of acknowledging where you are currently. When I ask myself, who am I? What type of uniqueness do I bring to the world? It used to be, how can I be most successful at this project? How can I create a plan and check off every box? And now it's, what can I create that brings value to another person's life? What most aligns with what I want to feel each and every day? How am I becoming more confident in the strategies that I use to balance the things that I want, the things that I don't expect, the things that go well, and the things that don't go so well? Because I don't want to overcompensate in the midst of progressing. I want to understand myself so much deeper each and every day, and that comes with self-awareness, that comes with trust, and that comes with authenticity. And that's vital information. Good day in my mind, safe to take a step out. Yes, I'm in now. Let your